The black maid stopped the billionaire from entering his own house, her hands shaking, her breath heavy like she had been running from something unseen. "Please, Mr. Alexander, don't go inside. I'm begging you," she cried, standing in front of the big wooden door that led into his Texas mansion. The sun had just started to rise, painting the yard gold, but everything around them felt dark. Alexander froze, suitcase still by his feet, a bouquet of white lilies trembling in his hand. He had returned home early to surprise his wife, expecting laughter, warmth, and the smell of coffee. Instead, he found Rebecca, barefoot, terrified, her eyes red from crying. "Rebecca, what's wrong?" he asked softly, but her voice broke before she could answer. "Sir, please, I swear you don't want to see what's inside that house." The world went quiet around them. Even the birds seemed to stop singing. Alexander's heart filled with unease. He had trusted this woman for years. She had never raised her voice, never disrespected him, never begged for anything. So why was she crying like someone trying to stop a funeral? He didn't know yet, but behind that door waited a truth that would tear his heart apart, destroy his peace, and make him question everything he thought he knew about love and loyalty. The morning was too quiet for a house that big. The white walls of the Reed mansion stood tall under the soft Texas sun, but inside, silence waited like a storm. The iron gate had opened slowly when Alexander's car pulled in. His driver had already left, the echo of the tires fading down the long driveway. He stood there now, suitcase beside his feet, the smell of fresh lilies rising from the bouquet he had brought for his wife, Vanessa. He had planned a surprise. He had flown home 2 days early from Dallas after a long business meeting. In his mind, he saw her smile, the warm hug, the sound of her laughter filling the hall. But what greeted him was not laughter. It was Rebecca, his maid of 3 years, standing barefoot in the doorway, shaking. Her dark eyes were full of tears that hadn't yet fallen. Her fingers gripped the edge of the door like she was holding on to life itself. "Rebecca," he said slowly, confused, "why are you crying? What happened?" She didn't move. Her lips trembled as she whispered, "Please, Mr. Alexander, don't go inside. I'm begging you, sir. Don't do this to yourself." Alexander blinked. The lilies in his hand rustled as he shifted his weight. For a moment, he thought she was joking, maybe frightened by something small. A raccoon in the kitchen, a power outage, maybe something spilled on the floor. But the look in her eyes told him this was not small. This was something that broke people. "What are you talking about?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "Where is Vanessa?" Rebecca swallowed hard. "Upstairs, sir." "But you shouldn't go there right now. Please, give me 1 minute, just one." Alexander frowned. The quiet around them felt wrong now. The smell of lilies turned heavy in the air. "Rebecca," he said firmly, "you're scaring me. What is happening?" Her tears finally broke free, rolling down her cheeks as she shook her head. "It's not something I can say, sir. If I tell you, it will hurt worse. Please, just listen to me." He stepped forward. "Rebecca, I don't have time for this. I just got off a flight. I want to see my wife." "No!" she cried out suddenly, the word echoing through the porch, her voice cracked with pain. "I'm trying to protect you, sir. Please, don't go up there." Alexander stared at her, his confusion turning into frustration. "Protect me? From what?" "Rebecca, this is my house." She pressed her palms to her face, sobbing quietly, then dropped to her knees right there on the porch. "Sir, I know it's not my place, but if you walk into that room right now, something inside you will break, and I can't let that happen. I can't let another good man fall apart like that." Her words hit him like a wave he didn't understand. He tried to lift her gently by the arm. "Rebecca, please get up," he said softly. "You don't have to kneel." She didn't move. Her hands reached for his leg, clinging tightly. Please, sir, I've seen heartbreak before. I know that look. If you go up there, you'll never be the same again. Just wait. Let me fix it, please. Alexander's chest tightened. The scene in front of him didn't make sense. His maid was crying like she was at a funeral, and his heart began to pound with unease. Rebecca, I'm begging you now, tell me what's going on, he said, his voice low, trembling. Her voice came out weak, broken, like a whisper from a wound. I can't, sir. If I speak, she'll ruin me. Who will ruin you? He asked, his voice rising. She looked away, her lips trembling. Mrs. Vanessa, she said finally, barely above a whisper. The name dropped between them like a stone in water. Alexander took a step back, staring at her. Vanessa? My wife? Rebecca, what are you saying? She didn't answer. She just cried harder, pressing her forehead to the porch floor. You walk up those stairs now, sir. You won't come back the same man. Please, I beg you, don't do this to yourself. The lilies slipped from his hand and hit the floor, petals scattering like white tears. His heart was pounding now, not from anger, but from fear of the unknown. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. The world seemed to hold its breath. Then, slowly, he stepped past her. Mr. Alexander, please, she sobbed, grabbing his arm. He stopped for a moment, looked down at her, and saw the blood where she had scraped her elbow trying to block him. His voice softened. I'm sorry, Rebecca. I have to see her. I have to know what's happening. He pulled his arm free, turned the doorknob, and walked inside. The house smelled faintly of perfume and candles, the same scent Vanessa always used. The hallway was clean, too clean. His wedding photo hung on the wall, the one where they danced under fairy lights. It used to make him smile. Now it made his stomach turn. Each step toward the staircase felt heavier than the last. Behind him, Rebecca followed slowly, her hand pressed against her bleeding arm, her quiet sobs echoing in the hallway. Please, sir, she whispered again, just turn back. You don't have to see it. He didn't listen. He placed his hand on the rail and climbed. His steps were slow, his breathing uneven. At the top of the stairs, the door to the bedroom stood slightly open. He could hear faint movement inside, laughter that froze him in place. He pushed the door open. The world stopped. Vanessa was in bed with another man, his best friend, Ryan. The bouquet of lilies hit the floor. Alexander's face turned pale. His breath left his body. The sound that came out of him wasn't even a word. It was the sound of something breaking deep inside. Rebecca gasped from the doorway, her hand covering her mouth. "Oh, Lord," she whispered. Vanessa froze, pulling the sheets over herself, her eyes wide with fear, not guilt. Ryan jumped up, stuttering, trying to speak. Alexander didn't say a word. His body trembled once, then he fell. The sound of him hitting the floor filled the room with horror. "Mr. Alexander!" Rebecca screamed, rushing forward. She dropped beside him, lifting his head, her tears falling fast. "Sir, please open your eyes, please. Don't leave like this," she cried, pressing her cheek to his chest, searching for a heartbeat. It was faint, uneven. Vanessa stood still at the edge of the bed, silent, guilty, and cold. Rebecca looked up, her voice shaking with anger and pain. "You stay right there, ma'am," she said through tears. "You've done enough." She reached for her phone with trembling fingers. "Please, God, not like this," she whispered as she dialed. 911, please. My employer has collapsed. He's not breathing right. Hurry, please, hurry. Her words blurred with sobs as she pressed her hand over Alexander's chest, refusing to let go, whispering over and over, "Stay with me, sir! Stay with me!" Outside, the morning sun rose higher, but inside that house, everything went dark. The sirens broke the silence of the Texas morning, echoing down the long driveway of the Reed mansion. Rebecca sat in the back seat of the black SUV, holding Alexander in her arms as the driver sped toward Houston Memorial Hospital. His head rested against her chest, his skin pale, his breathing slow and weak. Her hands pressed gently against his chest, counting every shallow rise and fall. "Please stay with me, sir," she whispered, tears running down her face. "Don't leave me now, not like this." Vanessa sat beside her, still wrapped in a robe, her face empty of emotion. She tried to touch Alexander's hand, but Rebecca turned sharply toward her. "Don't," she said firmly, her voice breaking. "You've done enough already." Vanessa looked away, guilt flickering across her face, but said nothing. The car hit a bump, and Alexander's body stirred faintly. His lips moved, but no words came out. Rebecca leaned closer, her ear near his mouth. "Sir, can you hear me?" His eyes opened slightly, then closed again. When they reached the hospital, nurses rushed toward them. "He collapsed," Rebecca gasped. "He's barely breathing." They took him from her arms and placed him on a stretcher. Rebecca followed, as they wheeled him through the glass doors, her shoes slipping on the polished floor. A nurse stopped her gently. "Family only," she said. Rebecca's voice trembled. "Ain't nobody here but me who cares for that man right now." The nurse hesitated, then nodded. "Wait here. We'll update you." Rebecca sank into a plastic chair in the waiting area, her hands shaking, her blouse stained with his blood. Her elbow still throbbed from the cut, but she didn't notice. She stared at the floor, whispering prayers under her breath. "Lord, please don't take him. He don't deserve this kind of pain. Don't let heartbreak be what ends him." Minutes felt like hours. The bright hospital lights blurred through her tears. Across the room, Vanessa sat quietly, arms folded, pretending to be calm, but her foot tapped nervously against the floor. She finally spoke. "I didn't mean for this to happen." Rebecca looked up slowly, her eyes tired but sharp. "You didn't mean to break him either, right?" Vanessa swallowed. "I just made a mistake." Rebecca's voice turned cold. "No, ma'am. Burning breakfast is a mistake. What you did was a choice." Vanessa looked down, shame washing over her face. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The only sound was the hum of the air conditioner and the distant voices of nurses moving behind the counter. Then a doctor walked in, his white coat brushing against the floor. "Mrs. Reed?" he asked. Vanessa stood quickly, trying to look composed. "Yes, I'm his wife." The doctor nodded, then turned his gaze to Rebecca. "You were the one who came in with him?" "Yes, sir," she said softly. "I was there when he fell." "He's stable for now," the doctor said. "He suffered a severe emotional shock. His heart rate dropped dangerously low, but we've managed to stabilize him. He needs rest and no emotional stress." Rebecca's hand covered her mouth in relief. "Thank you, Lord," she whispered. Vanessa exhaled loudly, tears filling her eyes. "Can I see him?" The doctor hesitated. "He needs calm. I'd prefer if only one person stayed for now." Rebecca looked at Vanessa, her eyes firm. "He don't need more hurt. Let him rest." Vanessa frowned. "I'm his wife, and I'm the one who kept him alive," Rebecca replied quietly. "So, for now, you can wait." The doctor glanced between them and finally nodded toward Rebecca. "You can stay with him. 5 minutes." Rebecca followed him down the hall. Each step felt heavy, her heart beating fast as she reached the private room. The steady beeping of the heart monitor filled the air. Alexander lay on the bed, tubes connected to his chest, his face pale but peaceful. Rebecca stood still for a long moment, tears blurring her vision. Then she moved closer, sitting beside him, her hand gently touching his arm. "It's me, sir," she whispered. "Rebecca, you're safe now." No response came, but she kept talking softly. "The doctor said your heart's strong, but it's tired." "I know, sir. Love can do that. It can wear a person down till they feel empty inside. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. I tried to stop you. I really did. I knew what waited behind that door. I couldn't let you walk into something that would break you. But I failed, and I'm sorry. She looked at his still face and thought back to her own pain. You know, sir, when I was 16, my uncle died the same way. My aunt left him, took the house, took the kids, took everything. He sat one morning at the table and just fell over. Doctor said it was his heart, but I knew it was heartbreak. I promised myself that if I ever saw that kind of pain again, I'd try to stop it. That's what I was doing this morning, sir, trying to save you. The machine beeped softly, steady now. Rebecca sighed and leaned closer. Please get better, sir. I don't care if you never thank me. Just don't let heartbreak take you. The world's still got good in it, even if it don't feel like it right now. She sat there for another hour, whispering prayers, wiping her tears quietly. When she finally stood to leave, the door opened softly. Vanessa entered, dressed in a beige trench coat, her makeup fresh, pretending to look concerned. He's alive? She asked, her voice small. Rebecca's body stiffened. Yes, but he don't need to see you right now. Vanessa frowned. He's my husband. You can't stop me. Rebecca stepped forward, her voice calm but cold. He don't need more lies in his room. You want to help? Let him heal without your face in front of him. Vanessa's jaw tightened. You don't get to talk to me like that. Rebecca looked her dead in the eye. Then stop acting like someone who earned respect. Vanessa's lip trembled. It wasn't supposed to happen this way. Rebecca's voice dropped to a whisper. It never is, ma'am. But you did what you did, and now you got to live with it. The nurse peeked in through the door, sensing the tension. Please, we need quiet here, she said. Vanessa backed away slowly, her eyes wet. She looked at Alexander one more time before turning and leaving the room. Rebecca sat back down, her hands shaking. She reached for the small blanket near his legs and pulled it up to his chest. Her voice was soft again. I don't know what's next, sir, but I'll stay right here. You ain't alone, not while I still got breath in me. Outside, the rain started falling against the window, soft and steady. Rebecca folded her hands and bowed her head. Lord, I've seen too many good people fall because of love that turned wrong. Don't let him be another. Give him strength to stand again. Hours passed. Nurses came and went quietly. The heart monitor beeped slow and steady. Rebecca stayed awake, watching over him. She refused to leave, even when the doctor told her visiting hours were over. Just after midnight, Alexander stirred. His eyelids moved, and a faint whisper left his lips. Rebecca? She jumped to her feet. Yes, sir, I'm here, she said quickly, holding his hand. He blinked weakly, his voice hoarse. How long have I been here? Since this morning, sir, she said softly. You scared us bad. His eyes shifted slowly to her face. You tried to stop me. Tears filled her eyes again. I did, sir. I just couldn't stop your heart from seeing what it saw. He sighed weakly. She was there? Rebecca nodded slowly, her voice trembling. Yes, sir. His eyes closed, a tear sliding down his cheek. I should have listened. Rebecca squeezed his hand gently. You did what any man would do, sir. You wanted truth. Now you got it, and it hurts, but it won't last forever. The rain tapped against the glass like quiet prayers. Rebecca stayed by his side till dawn, whispering softly. You'll be all right, sir. I'll see to it. And for the first time since that morning, Alexander slept peacefully. The sun rose slowly over Houston, filling the hospital room with a soft, warm glow. Rebecca sat by Alexander's bedside, her back aching from the hard chair, but her heart unwilling to leave. His breathing was steady now, calm and peaceful. The color had returned to his face, but the emptiness in his eyes told her the wound inside him had not healed. She quietly adjusted the blanket over his shoulders, whispering, "You'll be fine, sir. You just need time." A nurse walked in carrying a small tray. "He's doing better," she said kindly. "He's strong, but heartbreak can be cruel." Rebecca nodded. "I know, ma'am. I've seen it before." When the nurse left, Alexander slowly opened his eyes. He stared at the ceiling for a while, then turned his head toward her. "You didn't go home?" Rebecca smiled weakly. "No, sir. You think I'd leave you here alone after what happened?" He tried to sit up, but she gently pressed his shoulder. "Easy now," she said softly. "Doctor said no stress." He sighed, eyes fixed on the ceiling again. "I keep seeing it, Rebecca. The room, her face, everything. It plays in my mind like it's happening again." Rebecca looked down, her fingers twisting in her lap. "Some pain don't leave easy, sir, but one day it'll stop hurting so much." He turned his gaze toward her. "You knew, didn't you? You tried to stop me because you already knew." Her eyes filled with tears. "Yes, sir. I did. I saw things I wasn't supposed to. I tried to warn you, but she told me if I said a word, she'd have me arrested, said she'd ruin my family." Alexander closed his eyes tightly, pain washing over him. "She threatened you?" Rebecca nodded, her voice trembling. "Yes, sir. I was scared. I needed this job. My brother's in school, and I send money home every month. I didn't know what to do." He was silent for a long moment. The steady beeping of the heart monitor filled the space between them. Then, slowly, he reached for her hand. "You did what you could, Rebecca. You tried to protect me. I can't be angry at you for that." Her tears fell freely now. "I still feel like I failed, sir. I couldn't stop you in time." He gave her hand a gentle squeeze. "You saved me. Maybe not before I saw the truth, but you saved my life after it." Her heart ached hearing those words. She lowered her head and whispered, "Thank you, sir." For the next few days, Rebecca stayed close. She helped the nurses, brought him warm water, read the newspaper to him, and talked to him about simple things: the weather, the flowers in the garden, the meals in the cafeteria. She avoided speaking about Vanessa, but the silence between those moments always carried her name. One afternoon, as she was arranging his breakfast tray, the door opened quietly. Vanessa stepped inside, dressed neatly, her eyes red but her makeup perfect. "Alexander," she said softly. Rebecca's back stiffened, but she didn't turn around. Alexander looked at his wife, his face expressionless. "You shouldn't be here." Vanessa's voice cracked. "I just wanted to see you. I'm sorry, I made a mistake." He closed his eyes. "A mistake?" he repeated. "You destroyed everything we built." She stepped closer, tears falling down her cheeks. "I don't know what came over me. I was lonely. You were always away, and I—" He interrupted, his tone cold and steady. "Don't make excuses. You were my wife. You had choices, and you chose betrayal." Rebecca finally turned, placing the tray on the table. "You should go, ma'am," she said softly but firmly. Vanessa looked at her sharply. "This is between my husband and me." Rebecca met her gaze calmly. "Then talk to him when he's strong enough to stand. Right now, he needs peace." Alexander's eyes opened again. "Rebecca's right. Leave." Vanessa froze, her lip trembling. "You can't mean that." He looked away. "I do." She turned to Rebecca, her voice sharp now. "You think you can take my place, don't you? You're just the maid." Rebecca's hands tightened at her sides, but her voice stayed calm. "I don't want your place, ma'am. I just want him to live." For a moment, Vanessa didn't speak. Her pride broke, and she turned and walked out. The door closed behind her with a quiet click. Silence returned to the room. Rebecca stood still, her heart heavy. Alexander whispered, She said that to you? Yes, sir, Rebecca said quietly. But it don't matter. I've been called worse. He shook his head slowly. No one should speak to you like that, not after everything you've done. Rebecca smiled faintly. Kind words don't fix hurt, sir, but I thank you. The afternoon passed in silence. Later, Alexander's lawyer, Mr. Carter, came to the hospital with documents. Mr. Reed, he said, we can start the divorce process as soon as you're ready. Alexander nodded slowly. Do it. I can't live with lies anymore. Rebecca looked at him sadly. You sure you're ready, sir? He nodded. She ended it. I'm just signing what's already broken. That night, as the room dimmed, Rebecca sat by the window, looking out at the city lights. She could hear the faint buzz of traffic and the hum of machines. She turned her head to find Alexander watching her quietly. You haven't gone home once since I came here, he said softly. She smiled. Home don't feel right when the person you care for is lying in a hospital bed. He stared at her for a long moment. You care for me? She looked down, her cheeks warm. Yes, sir, I do. You've been good to me since I started here. You never treated me like I was less than you. I couldn't just stand back and watch you break. He smiled weakly. I don't know what I'd have done without you. Rebecca shook her head. You'd have found your way, sir. You're stronger than you think. He looked at her gently. You keep saying that, but you're the strong one, Rebecca. You face storms and still manage to smile. She chuckled softly. A smile don't mean a storm's over, sir. Sometimes it just means I'm still standing in it. They shared a quiet silence, both staring at the window. The rain from the night before had passed, leaving the world clean and calm. After a while, Alexander spoke again. When I leave here, I don't want to go back to that mansion. Rebecca looked surprised. But that's your home, sir. He shook his head. No, Rebecca. It's just a house full of memories I don't want anymore. She nodded slowly. Then maybe it's time to start fresh somewhere else. He smiled faintly. Maybe it is. The nurse entered to check his vitals, and Rebecca stood to let her work. When the nurse left, Alexander spoke again, his voice low and tired. When I recover, I'll need help setting things right. Will you stay, Rebecca? Not as a maid, but as someone I trust. She blinked, unsure she heard right. Me, sir? Yes, he said softly. I don't have many people I can count on. You've proven you're one of them. Her throat tightened with emotion. I'll stay, sir, as long as you need me. He smiled faintly. Thank you. Rebecca nodded. Her heart warmed despite the sadness in the room. As the lights dimmed, she whispered a quiet prayer. Lord, let tomorrow be kinder. The monitor beeped softly in rhythm with Alexander's slow breathing. In that stillness, a fragile bond began to form, not of love yet, but of trust, born from pain and truth. And for the first time since the day she stopped him at the door, Rebecca felt hope. 2 weeks passed since Alexander left the hospital, but his heart still felt heavy. The mansion that once held laughter now felt like a museum of pain. Rebecca walked beside him as he stepped through the grand front doors again, his slow footsteps echoing through the empty hall. The air was still, the smell of Vanessa's perfume faint but present, as if mocking him. Rebecca carried a small bag of cleaning supplies, though he had told her she didn't need to clean today. I can't sit still in a house filled with dust and hurt, sir, she said softly. Sometimes the best way to start healing is to tidy up. He gave her a small, tired smile. Maybe you're right, Rebecca. Maybe this house needs cleansing as much as my heart does. She began opening windows, letting the Texas breeze flow through the rooms. Curtains fluttered, and light slowly returned to the spaces that had felt dark for so long. She moved quietly, picking up framed photos, turning some face down, wiping tables where old memories lingered. Alexander walked into the living room and stared at a wedding picture hanging above the fireplace. In it, he was smiling, full of hope. Vanessa's hand rested on his shoulder, her eyes bright. He took the frame down, looked at it one last time, then placed it gently in a box marked, "Leave behind." Rebecca saw what he did and paused at the doorway. "Sometimes it hurts more to hold on than to let go," she said quietly. He nodded, his voice low. "Letting go doesn't mean it didn't matter. It just means it can't control me anymore." They worked together in silence for hours. The smell of lemon polish filled the house. By afternoon, Rebecca sat down on the staircase, wiping sweat from her forehead. "You know, sir," she said, smiling faintly, "this house doesn't feel like the same place anymore. It's like the pain's starting to leave." Alexander leaned against the railing, watching her. "That's because you're here," he said softly. She looked up, surprised. "Me?" He nodded. "Yes. Ever since you stopped me that morning, I've been thinking. You could have kept quiet, could have let me walk into that room without warning, but you didn't. You risked everything for me. Not many people would do that." Rebecca lowered her head. "I just did what felt right, sir. I couldn't stand by and watch someone good break apart." He smiled faintly. "Then, you're braver than most." Before she could answer, the sound of a car pulling up outside caught their attention. Alexander frowned and walked to the window. Vanessa was stepping out, dressed in black, her face pale. Rebecca's stomach tightened. "You want me to handle it, sir?" He shook his head. "No, I'll talk to her. But stay close." Vanessa entered slowly, holding a small envelope in her hand. "Alexander," she began softly, "I didn't come to fight." He folded his arms. "Then say what you came to say." Tears filled her eyes. "I've been meeting with my lawyer. I'm signing the divorce papers today. But before I do, I need to tell you the truth." Alexander's expression stayed cold. "You've told enough lies already." Vanessa shook her head. "No, not about the affair. About something else. The man I was with, Ryan, he was working with one of your rivals. He convinced me to share information about your company. I was foolish. I didn't realize it until too late." Rebecca's eyes widened. "You gave away his company secrets?" Vanessa nodded, her voice breaking. "Yes. I turned myself in this morning. The authorities are reviewing everything. I'm sorry, Alexander. I lost myself. And I lost you." Alexander's face hardened. "You didn't just lose me, Vanessa. You destroyed everything we built. But I'm glad you told the truth." Vanessa turned to Rebecca. "I know you hate me, but I want to thank you for saving him that day. You did what I couldn't." Rebecca stared at her for a long moment, then said quietly, "I don't hate you, ma'am. Hate don't fix pain. I just hope you find a way to live better after this." Vanessa nodded, her lips trembling. "Goodbye, Alexander." He didn't answer. He watched her leave without another word. When the door closed, the silence that followed felt different, lighter, almost peaceful. Rebecca sighed, sitting down again on the staircase. "You okay, sir?" He nodded slowly. "For the first time, I think I am." Days turned into weeks. The story of Vanessa's arrest spread briefly through Houston but soon faded. Alexander returned to work at his company, Reed Capital, but with a changed heart. He spent less time in meetings and more time helping small charities across Texas. One evening, he invited Rebecca to a quiet dinner in the backyard. The night air was soft, the stars shining above. The garden lights glowed gently against the white fence. She wore a simple blue dress, her hair tied back neatly. "You didn't have to invite me, sir," she said shyly. He smiled. "You've stood by me through everything. The least I can do is share a meal with someone who never turned away." As they ate, they talked about simple things, her family, his plans, the future. Alexander listened closely when she spoke about her dream of finishing school. I wanted to be a teacher once, she said quietly. But life had other plans. He smiled. Maybe it's not too late, Rebecca. Sometimes life gives us a second chance. She looked up at him, unsure if he meant it. You really think so, sir? I know so, he replied. And when that day comes, I'll make sure you get the help you need. Her eyes filled with tears. Thank you, sir. Nobody ever said that to me before. He reached across the table, placing a small velvet box in front of her. Inside was a simple gold necklace with a tiny bird pendant. It's not a gift of romance, he said gently. It's a thank you for saving my life, and for reminding me that kindness still exists. Rebecca touched the necklace with trembling fingers. It's beautiful, sir. I'll treasure it. He smiled. Promise me one thing. No matter what happens next, don't stop being who you are. The world needs more hearts like yours. Her eyes glistened. I promise. The night grew quiet again, filled only with the sound of crickets. For a long moment, they just sat there, watching the stars. Later that week, Alexander's sister, Emily, called. Mother's memorial service is in San Antonio next month, she said gently. You should come. She'd want that. He hesitated, then agreed. When the day came, Rebecca traveled with him. Standing beside him at the small white church, she felt his hand tremble slightly as he placed flowers at the grave. She'd be proud of you, sir, Rebecca whispered. He nodded. Maybe she sent you into my life. I used to believe money could fix everything. You showed me otherwise. On their way back home, they stopped at a small roadside cafe. Over coffee, Alexander said softly, I'm selling the mansion. I want to start fresh. Rebecca looked at him. Where will you go? He smiled. Where peace lives. And I hope you'll come with me. Rebecca, not as my maid, but as someone I trust, someone I want around. Her voice trembled. You mean that, sir? He nodded. More than anything. Tears filled her eyes. Then I'll stay, sir. I'll stand by you till the road runs out. When they returned to Houston, the sun was setting. The house no longer felt empty. It felt alive again. Rebecca placed the bird necklace around her neck, and Alexander watched quietly, peace finally settling over his face. As they sat on the porch, the Texas wind carried the scent of rain, and the stars glowed softly above them. Alexander looked at her and said quietly, You stopped me that day, Rebecca, but maybe it wasn't just from walking into a room. Maybe you stopped me from walking away from life. She smiled, tears slipping down her cheeks. And maybe, sir, you helped me believe in good again. They sat together in silence, two broken souls learning to heal, as the night wrapped around them like peace itself. And for the first time, both of them finally felt free. Dear viewers, this story reminds us that kindness can come from the most unexpected hearts. Rebecca was just a maid in a billionaire's house, yet she became the light that pulled Alexander out of darkness. She showed that real strength is not in wealth, but in compassion, honesty, and courage. If this story touched your heart, please like, subscribe, and share so that more people can feel this message of hope and healing. Tell us in the comments where you are watching from, and what you learned from this story. We love reading your thoughts. And if you want more emotional and life-changing stories like this, comment more stories below. You'll be the first to get the next touching story. Thank you for watching, and remember, no act of love is ever wasted.